We are. The Hangout on Air is live. All right, cool. I don't know why they took the
Good
countdown
morning.
away. It was so much better with the countdown. First of all, it was like more professional. It was like being on a TV show or something. It was like 3, 2, 1, and rolling.
You could do it yourself.
Yeah, but I don't know how to time it with when it actually goes live.
Oh, it isn't instant?
No, it's you click start broadcast, and it says going live, and then it hangs there, and then at some point, who knows when, it just says the Hangout on Air is live. I don't know.
No.
So, I'm representing this morning. I got my, we're starting the Smartsheet course. We're starting production on Smartsheet, so I've got my Smartsheet mug.
All right.
And, of course, I've got my T-Sheets hat on, as always. I almost always have my, this is my thinking cap. Get it? Thinking, T-Sheets.
That works.
Nice. So when are they going to put a button on the hat so that you start your time when you put the hat on and you call, and it pushes the button automatically for you? This is called wearable technology.
You get a Wi-Fi button on the hat.
Careful, it'll come. Careful what you wish for.
That would be cool. No, wearables is something that Gina's right. That's going to be the next sort of wave of technology. It's called wearables. That's actually a term. It's official.
The glasses weren't a big hit, though.
Because the glasses aren't really that practical. The Google glasses, I mean, have any of you tried them? I've tried them.
Oh, cool. Tell us. Do tell. I've seen a lot of people wear them. I've seen what their responses were.
I felt that the range of sight was just too small. It was, I didn't feel like I was looking at a monitor in front of my eyes, and everything was very small. It was very hard to look at and read. If I wanted to like browse the internet with Google Glass, it just wasn't practical to do so to me. But I'm also somebody who, and I have this conversation with Eric a lot. I hate doing a lot of the stuff on these mobile devices that a lot of people are like. Eric tries to do everything on his mobile device, practically, it seems. And there are certain things I hate to do on such a small device. Yeah, to me, it's not efficient, and it's not practical, and the mobile technology is not quite there yet to do a lot of the things. Eric will actually write, edit, and publish a blog post all on his mobile device. I don't have the patience to do that. There's no way I would ever do that. He'll log in to the schoolofbookkeeping.com website on his mobile device and go in there and find somebody's membership record and make a tweak. I would never have the patience to do that on my mobile device. It would drive me nuts. I would just as soon wait until I can get in front of a real computer at that point. You
can get these small Bluetooth keyboards you can kind of pair with your mobile device sometimes.
Yeah, but right.
Still not the same though. It's the problem is the screen. If you ever look at a WordPress backend, and Eric has shown that to you on some of the recent Hangouts that he's done, there's a huge menu. There's so much scroll to do on a mobile device to deal with something like that. I would just never. It's not even about the keyboard, because I've gotten real good with the swipe, way of typing on the keyboard. So that doesn't bother me. And then, of course, there's a lot of extra like spell checking that you have to do when you're dealing with a mobile device compared with a keyboard. I'm much more accurate on the keyboard. And a lot of times I could swear I've gone over what I put in on my mobile device when I've typed a status update even, and I could swear I checked it and corrected all the words that it sort of misspelled, and then I post it and go back later and I still see a typo and it makes me cringe. I want to smash my phone to pieces when I see that.
Well, speaking of spell check...
My shirt.
What are you wearing today, Seth?
I'm wearing my spell check shirt.
That predictive typing every time.
We need remember that little toy we used to have as kids, Speak and Spell?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We need that back. All right, I'm inviting Katie Peterson in. She said that she's having trouble getting in. No shock there.
Did you put out invites? Because I didn't see the invite this morning. I had to come in with the link.
I sent you a personal invitation, Gina.
I didn't get one either.
That's very strange. I sent it to all of you in one invite, but I individually named you. So
That's Google sending its notifications out timely once again.
Right. There's no notification, and
fantastic then.
unless you don't want us.
I always want you.
On my screen, there's a little, area where it's like start or whatever, so you can see that you've got messages, and so that's where I got mine, was up in the upper right-hand corner when I go into Google Plus.
Yeah.
Upper right? Oh, no, it wasn't there at all.
Hangout. I looked there, and I even searched live Hangouts happening now.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't live yet, so.
Well, I wasn't live yet, so that wouldn't show up.
Mhm.
I had an invite to go to the Hangout.
What I got at 10:28 was the announcement. It says invited you, but all I can do is say, are you going yes, maybe, or no. It's not a
personal.
Well, the invites didn't go out then. Yeah, you would have just pre-ordered the event at that point.
So is that what you're sending?
What?
When did you send that?
The event notice.
Well,
When I originally start the pre-hangout, I have a circle that
Yeah.
includes the people who attend regularly, and I invite that circle. But then what I do immediately afterwards, once the hangout then gets established, is I go in and click at the top where I can individually invite people or send more invites, and I look on the hangout page to see who has RSVP'd that they're coming, and I name them individually, and I send that invite as well. I do them right on the heels of one another.
All right, so
I figure,
at 10:30 is when I got it, 10:28. It says, School of Bookkeeping has invited you to Project Management Zoho.
that's the invite from the actual event that got created when I created the event.
That's the RSVP.
Yeah, that's what you RSVP to. That's before I even started the Hangout. That's just when I created the Hangout.
Right, okay. And then that's it. Huh.
Hey, Rhonda. Rhonda's here.
Oh, yeah, look at there.
Rhonda's a Zoho person. Is that what we're talking about today, Seth?
Yeah,
Zoho?
I'm very interested in Zoho and Evernote.
I used to be Zoho.
You used to?
And I used to be a Zoho, now I'm just a dodo.
Yeah, pretty much. No, now I use Insightly.
I hate that one. I don't know how you. As soon as I looked at the interface on that, I was like so turned off. I had to close my browser.
I did too, but last time we were in there, you showed me I could change it all to green. But still, it's more than a color thing.
I just hate the interface and the layout. It's not a product I find I want to spend time in when I look at it. But Rhonda, obviously you had a different experience, so I'm curious. Before we get into the actual topic of the day, tell us what you like about Insightly.
I have just found it easier to use. I don't have a lot of people using it. I tried to get like my husband and my project manager to use it, but they don't adopt to change very well. They're very old school. So I removed them as users, and now it's just Rachel and myself. As far as, assigning tasks and things like that, it across the board, it just seems easier. I like the scheduling aspect of it. For me, I also like the fact that it does allow me to do my contact form from my web page and directly flows through my contact management section, which Zoho does as well. Zoho, I had a really hard time getting any assistance from. Insightly, I seem to have better experience. Pricing's good. Yes, you can change the color. You can change the layout too and things like that, but if you don't want to, it tracks all my emails that I send out, and let's see, it sets up stages for us. So if opportunities, so if I have a new client, it will automatically assign things to myself or Rachel as soon as something's triggered. Let's see, what else? It has all my contacts in it that I have no problem with. Reoccurring tasks. I guess it all depends on what you're looking for.
Okay, and obviously the bottom line for you is, compared to me, the interface just didn't bother you the way it bothered me. I mean, I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is ugly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they all have their own issues, and some you just cannot change. Some you can work with. What I find with Insightly is that they are always adding cool new features, even if it's features maybe not that I'm using. I found that Zoho didn't do that as much. They kind of lagged on their features.
Gotcha.
But I don't have anything bad to say about Zoho. How about that? I mean, I didn't leave them because they were a bad company, or I just found that Insightly had some more features for me.
Right, and so Insightly, I found Insightly under in doing research on CRM. So Insightly is a CRM and project management app in one, right?
Yes, and it does sync with QuickBooks. So that's
nice.
A plus on my side.
Okay, this is getting very interesting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. What it does is on your customer section, it will show you the balances and what's been paid and invoices and things like that. On the vendor section, though, I don't think I've yet kind of gone over to that side, and I don't know if it does it. I think it was more of a customer thing.
Gotcha. All right, let me jump into Zoho Projects, because I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't actually been in Zoho Projects myself in a while. I used to use it a lot. And one of the guys from Zoho, who noticed I was doing this series with you guys on project management applications, actually reached out to me and said, hey, are you going to talk about Zoho? And I, very honestly, I read that and I'm like, oh my God, how can I forget about Zoho? It's been one of my favorites over the years. So that's why, and I was like, oh, thank God, I had an extra Friday in January. I can stick it in.
So before we jump to Zoho, I want to say all the buzz, everybody's talking about Stacy's hair. Stacy got a new haircut.
She did.
I got them all cut, as a matter of fact. I got every one of them cut. So, and I got a lot of it cut off. I will say that.
I like it.
Good.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it needed to be done. So now we can move on. Seth, continue.
All right, no more Stacy. We'll take the focus off of Stacy.
Yes, please.
Well, it looks like Zoho got a haircut too. And I'll show you what I mean. In fact, when I go to share my screen, you're going to see it. You're going to almost think we're looking at a different but familiar product. Do you see this, and do you see what I'm talking about?
That looks like QBO.
It sure does.
Wow, it sure does.
And the thing is, I know exactly where this is coming from, because a couple months ago, when I was talking to some of my friends at Intuit about QuickBooks Online and how they innovate, and I'm still pending a blog post on that topic. But the interesting thing was they gave me a peek at the app developers area that they use. And what they do is, by the way, somebody, it sounds like, is echoing me. So just if you can, mute yourselves until, of course, you have something you want to chime in on. But they give the app developers the sort of templating information they need in terms of colors and layout, so that app developers can make their apps look like QuickBooks Online. And clearly that's what Zoho has done here. It's very different than what it used to look like. For those of you who've used it, you'll know what I'm talking about immediately. And so here I'm in the projects area. If I go to home, you can kind of see the home.
Go back, Seth. I want to know what bugs is. What is bugs?
You can we can cover that in a minute in more detail. But first of all, where are you seeing that exactly?
To the right. It says task milestones and bugs. You really have so many bugs that you need a column for it?
Well, no, but the Zoho Projects has a feature where you can do bug reports. So if you're trying to work on a project and you encounter a bug, then that gets its own specific area so that it gets the special attention it needs so that you can address whatever the issue is and resolve it.
Okay, I'm just not sure I would want it in my face like that all the time.
Well, I would think you would, because if you have a bug in your project or your program or whatever it is you're working on, I would want to know about that right away and make sure it gets fixed as a top priority.
Okay.
I mean, I certainly would. So again, and I always thought it was a good feature. I've never actually used it myself, but I could see where, imagine you're a software developer, and you're developing software, and you're testing it, and you find bugs. You definitely want that addressed and fixed.
At that point, but if I'm doing projects, I really don't care. I want to move on and get my project done. I don't,
That might be good for software developers, but
For software developers, I can totally see it, but for doing projects, by then I've already figured out a workaround and moved on, and
my bugs. Does it have a
It
cog
could be
wheel?
for anything. It's a way of saying, hey, we have a problem, right? It may not be a bug in this traditional sense of a software development bug, but it could be just a bug in your project. Something's wrong. Something's holding something up, right? So you can just log that and make sure that it gets addressed as a priority. But here we are. Let's go. Some of this stuff is so old that I don't even know. Well, here's the project I'd created way back when I started developing a course on project management with Zoho projects. So we can pick on this one. So here's a dashboard. There's no feeds because it's been a while, but this is where you would see updates if somebody posted an update and said, hey, I'm working on such and such, whatever. So I like that. It gives it an almost Facebook-like kind of feel where you can see who's doing what and what's going on. Let's look at tasks and milestones. We'll go straight to tasks here. And I actually love what they've done with the layout, but it's not really that much different than what it used to be. I have writing and video production as kind of the major task, and then I have my subtasks, and we've got our start date, our due date, duration, and so on. So again, all the features that we've come to expect from any decent project management application. Adding a task, reordering a task, very easy to do right from here. Right, and then of course milestones are the major things that we hope to accomplish in the course of completing the project, right?
How many days ago was it due?
It looks like quite a few, actually. Let's go back into the tasks. Actually, this one says only 44 days. That doesn't seem right. It was due May 20th of 2013.
That says duration, not due date.
Oh, thank you. So if we go to milestones, then we have tasks that are quite a bit overdue. 663 days, 650. That makes sense. About 2 years.
You need to get to work.
I do. I'm way behind on this. I'm in trouble. And one of the things I love about Zoho is the calendar feature, and this can be synced with your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you use. So this becomes a nice central place where you can log events, and then this way, whatever calendar individuals are using, it's all kind of synced back from here. So you don't have to force everybody onto the same calendar. They can use whatever they're comfortable with, and this becomes the central sort of calendar hub. Of course, we have documents. We can add documents, and documents can be attached to anything. So let's go into a task for a minute here, and let's look at this in context. So if I click on the task, here I am in the task details. Here's the documents, and it's got a number of document integrations here. So here I can select a folder for that document. This is to associate documents. Where on earth do I go to add them?
Dennis, don't you use this? Unmute.
I stopped using it. I use Zoho CRM, but I use Workflow Max for the things I was using Zoho Project for, which was really a real scaled down version of what Zoho was offering. I mean, Zoho had so many features that it wasn't worth what I was paying for what I needed.
I think for Zoho, for me, too, it had a lot of features that I didn't specifically use for my industry. That was kind of why I switched.
Got it. And it looks like you just drag and drop your documents, by the way. And that's the feedback I get a lot on Zoho, is that it does a lot more than what a lot of people need it to do. And that's why
it can be a little overwhelming, especially, I'm the type of person that I want it out of sight, out of mind, because that to me is just distraction for me.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. So documents you just drag and drop. In fact, right here under comments, you can do that. But I'm guessing if I drag a document here as well, let's test that theory. So let me go somewhere where I can get a scan that I've done, one that I can afford to show you all. Here, let's say it's a CVS receipt. No, that's actually not going to work. So the documents part, I'll be honest, is a little confusing to me. I'll have to talk to my friends at Zoho and find out what I'm missing here, because I went into the task and I went into the documents area, or I'm in the task. Here's the documents area. As per before, the main details of the task are here on the right. So here's where I can change who it's assigned to, the start and end date. The duration obviously is calculated from there, or I could probably change the duration and it will update the end date. You know, establish the priority, percent completed, and so on, and I can set a reminder and I can make it recurring. So a lot of people ask about recurring tasks. Zoho Projects has that. A lot of the project management apps don't have true recurring tasks. So if that's something that's really important to you, then Zoho may be worth considering. I know Rhonda said that Insightly has recurring tasks as well. Asana has it. I remember Asana. It was a little difficult to find in Asana where to go to do it, but it was there. It's like a little setting when you set the date. There's an option to make it recurring. Let's see. So here I get a drop down. I can jump into the other various subtasks that were under the main task. Now the question is, how do I get back? If I X this out, there it is. So if I click that X there, I'm back to my main list. Over here I can look at dependencies, right? So if I've established that tasks are dependent on one another, I can show that here on a summary basis. Kanban is this kind of view where it gives you almost like these cards. So it's just a sort of a neat way of looking at the tasks that you have. We have plain here and classic. So just different ways of viewing the tasks. But the bottom line is, for project management purposes, I just need to know where I can go to see what tasks need to be done, who's responsible for them, when they're due, when they're overdue, so that if they are overdue or if there is a problem, I can go after the right person and find out what's going on and, you know, why it's not done on time or what needs to be done to make it happen, that sort of thing. We have timesheets. I think this is a more recent thing that they've added with the invoices and expenses, where you can actually I'd have to configure it looks like, but you can actually track time and then invoice for it on a project. And I am willing to bet that this is integrated with both QBO and Zoho books.
I would hope.
So Zoho Invoice, Zoho Book. So it's got those two integrations. The fact that they've clearly designed it, modeled after QBO, leads me to believe that if it's not integrated with QBO, it will be. I would think that's the plan. And then you have forums. So forums are great in projects because it's where you can have the discussion. This is, to me, where you get out of the inbox, right? Because instead of having all these email threads going back and forth, and then later on having to go back and figure out where was that email that they sent where they said this, this, and that, and I can never find those, especially if it's a few months later. Even if it's a month later, it becomes difficult to find sometimes. You know, this is where you get out of that email inbox mess. And you get to go in here, and this way you can create the topics, and you can, you know, have the discussions happen around the topics. So I had like milestones. Let's discuss what are the major milestones that we have to establish in terms of being able to get this project done, and then we lay out the tasks within that. In a sense, you have to work backwards, I think, when you're outlining a project, right? You have to say, what's the final outcome? What does it look like when it's all done? And kind of work backwards from there and say, okay, what are the major things we need to do in order to make that happen? And those are your milestones. And then within each milestone, what are the actual tasks and subtasks that need to be accomplished in order to reach that point where we say, okay, this milestone has been accomplished. And so the forums are great for, especially at the beginning, laying out that discussion. And as you can see, I had some people in here just playing around as guests, where Karen came in and said, you know, it looks good, but shouldn't owners be assigned to, or is that coming later? You know, so, and Laura was in here. I haven't heard from Laura in a while, actually. She says it looks like a lot of work to maintain, but it seems intuitive. Do the milestones recur? The milestones I don't think recur, but the tasks certainly do. So let's test that. Let's go to milestones, and let's go into a milestone. Over here, you've always got the settings wheel, but this is just edit, complete, or delete. So if I go into the milestone, it shows me here all the tasks that are assigned within that milestone. So I don't think you can recur a milestone. I'm not sure that you would want to. The idea of a milestone is this is a major milestone in the project timeline, and we've completed it or we haven't, but the tasks might be recurring. And I know that you can also create templates out of a project, so if you have the same kind of project that you do for different clients, then you can easily template the project and then reuse that project as a template. That would be where I'd see a use for something like a milestone, a recurring milestone, that is. So again, we have the forums where we can have the discussions that go on in order to establish what everything looks like and how everything's being done and when and why and by whom. And then, of course, you use that information to lay out the milestones and tasks. Then you have, they call it pages now. It used to be like a mini wiki, which is really what it is. But it's almost like an internal intranet where you can create pages. It might be instructional stuff that you want to put out there or research if research is being done. It's like your own intranet for this project, where you can, again, I thought wiki was almost a better term for this. Bless you, Stacy. Bless you. We can't hear her, but I see her sneezing.
Thank you. I muted myself just in time.
Woo!
All right, I'm going to go back on mute.
All right. So, so this can be a handy way of putting research together and in place. And I could see where there might be some overlap between how you might use the forums and the pages. But I think the idea of the pages, to distinguish from the forums is where you have discussions. The pages is where you'd put like research and findings and the kinds of like reference information that you're going to want people to be able to come back to easily. And so maybe after having a discussion in the forum, you arrive at certain conclusions or decisions, and you might put a page in the pages area that just shows you what the end result of that discussion was in terms of what people need to know.
So if you're collaborating with a client, can you decide what client can see certain pages? Like member-only type idea?
Let's go to users, right? So look, Gina's in here. So I have some, because a while back when I was developing the course. So let's see, if I go to add a user, let's see what my choices are. So we have roles. I have manager, employer, contractor.
Oh, that's not so much client then. It's more
right, so we don't
internal.
have a client option, but let's click know more about roles, and maybe we can define a role.
Oh, wow.
So here it is. They obviously use their own product Zoho sheets, which is pretty cool. They embedded this into the page. But so you can figure out how the roles are defined and determine, even though they don't have one that's called client, maybe one of the existing ones would serve the purpose anyway.
But then do you have to? I wonder if you have to pay per user. That's where some of these solutions get really costly if your clients become users and they.
Yeah, so I suspect, as with most of them, you have, like, if you have a manager or employee, that's an internal person, that probably costs you a user, whereas the contractor probably doesn't. That would be my guess without knowing for sure. But yeah, you'd obviously want to confirm that. And like I say, it's been a while, so I used to be more on top of, all these details about how Zoho projects work.
Right. So I like the idea of wikis. If I could say, well, if you're a client of mine, you have access to my page, this nonprofit information or something, I don't know.
Right.
Something that isn't open to the public but available. So when they call and say, I'm having an auction, I say, here's the link. Read up on it.
Right. So I'm looking here to see if we can decide who has access to this or not. Edit. It may be either you're in or you're out. Could be. If I go to edit the page, the page editor is cool. It's got this. It's got you can do a lot in terms of formatting with the page editor. And I remember you can actually embed videos in here. I'm assuming that's still the case.
So when it says page, it means a page.
Yeah, it's like a web page, basically. Yeah, and so this is a lot more sophisticated than what I've seen with most. And of course, you have this, the simple sort of page editor option. And then one of these here is the HTML, so I can actually put HTML code in here. So again, if I wanted to embed a YouTube video or something, I can do that. What's this one? Insert HTML. So the pages are kind of cool. And then there's a chat. So I can chat with other online users. Looks like Laura's live.
Say something. Where are you?
Let's see. Let's join.
I'm working.
Hello?
Oh, I see a cat, Sarah. Oh, that's a dog. I thought it was a cat.
No, I'm more of a dog person.
Oh,
That's
look
funny.
at how
Cats make me
cute.
sneeze.
So that's a very short kind of. Oh look, Linda Russell just joined this project today at 8:31 a.m. That's funny. Hi,
That's
Linda.
odd.
That's awful early for her.
That's creepy.
I wonder how she even
What?
found this, because I must have sent these invites out 2 years ago.
Wait a minute. Are we full?
But I got to be honest, I've always liked Zoho projects. I understand that for a lot of people it does more than what they need, and for that reason it becomes overwhelming. But I like a product that has a lot of features and options. Again, then there's the cost consideration. Do I need to spend that much money for, to have things I don't necessarily know that I'll use? I'm one that likes to pay the extra money knowing the options are there if I do need them. Because generally speaking, and this is just kind of who I am, I'll find a way to put them to use because I just love playing with these things so much. But that's me. So I really, I love Zoho from the beginning. I still love it. I love the new interface even more. I like that they're using a layout that's very familiar to a lot of us. It's clear that they're really trying to cater to the QuickBooks Online using community. That's kind of my story, and I'm sticking to it. But before we move on to Evernote and how I use that for project management, anybody have any other comments, questions, concerns, stories to share? Anybody need some therapy?
Well,
Every day.
I was going to say that when I was using Zoho projects, I used the forums for notes to myself. It seemed like that was the only place I could find to make notes.
Yeah. Yeah, or Pages would be great for that too, right?
Yeah, it just seems like it's really designed for more than a one-person company. I mean, it's kind of, for a one-person company, it's pretty, maybe a little too robust for what you could possibly
And
do.
it's funny you mention that, Dennis, because that's exactly where I love Evernote as a project management app for
I love
one.
Evernote. You want to marry Evernote.
I know.
I do.
I know.
Well,
I'm liking it better every day.
I've started using it the way Seth, using your suggestion of rather than, I'll just take notes, and then if I decide they're a good prospect, then I'll put them in my CRM rather than put them in as a lead, so I can quickly capture information without having to worry about the CRM aspects of it. So that's been pretty helpful for me.
I just sent all my business cards that I had on my desk into Shoebox for scanning. I wanted to give you an example, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch over, before I share my screen again, to my Evernote project for a client I was working on yesterday, because I want to show you a great use case where I use Evernote doubling over somewhat as a CRM and somewhat as a project management tool.
Well,
And I'll show you.
I was going to say you can use Evernote, has a link to Smartsheet. I saw that. Do you use that, Sarah?
Smartsheet has an Evernote integration, which is really cool. But let me show you what I did yesterday. Hold on. I just need to make sure I'm protecting my client's information where I need to, because I'm going to show you something with live data. Bear with me one second. Almost there. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. So yesterday I was with a client. Client's an interior designer, and she landed a project overseas. So she's going to be doing a lot of shipping overseas. She's going to be sending a lot of materials and fabrics and all kinds of things. And so she had a guy from UPS Worldwide Express come in because she wanted to, find out about rates and wanted to see how it compared with using FedEx. So you guys see my boat? Isn't that cool?
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to a trip.
You're all invited.
A cruise.
You're all invited to come on my boat when I get it. As soon as I get it, you'll all be invited to the boat warming party.
Will there be champagne?
There will be.
Okay.
So this guy comes in from UPS to show us the service, and he hands me his card. And I said, here, I'm going to give this back to you in a second. I took a snapshot of his business card with my phone using an Evernote camera note. Then I went in and edited it and snag it just to trim it down so it was just the business card and not any of the extra noise. And I named it UPS Andrew Call. Great name for a sales guy, isn't it? His last name was actually Call. Mr. Call is on a sales call. So
Calling Mr. Call.
I tagged him contacts, and I tagged him vendors and services because he is somebody I might actually want to refer to other clients of mine, right? So this is where it becomes very CRM-like, and if you've used Evernote, you know that I don't even have to put the text form of his information. Evernote, if I search for Andrew Call, will find him, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go on my other screen for a minute. I'm going to put in quotes Andrew, and it depends on, of course, the quality of the image. But I put a search in for Andrew Call in my global Evernote, and notice it found him. So there's my search right up there, and there he is. So it searches beautifully within even JPEG images, or any image file for that matter. So, of course, what I would probably do, because this was just yesterday, at some point today, I'll go in here and I'll still write up the text version of his contact information so that from my mobile app I can tap a phone number and call him if I need to, if I want to call him up from here. So I love doing that. I love that I can do that. And one of my main criteria for a CRM is that I need to be able to access that information from my mobile device so that I can't. What's the point of a CRM if I don't have an easy way to contact them from a mobile device, right? So that was one of my big complaints about Nimble for a long time, and they finally came out with a mobile app that actually handles that really well now. So what's the next thing I did? I had the client part of the information. So I created a note for the client for her UPS account. I've encrypted the proprietary information. I'd taken a screenshot of what it looks like when you're logged in because I wanted to give an example of how we might use their reference codes. But look what else I could do. Let's close his contact. Let's say I'm looking at this now, and I need to call Andrew Call because I have a question. I've got a hyperlink to his note, and I can right-click this and choose Open in a new window, and boom, there's his contact information. So, and this is one of the reasons I love Evernote. It's so flexible. I can create the experience that I need it to be, basically. And right-clicking allows me to open it in a new window. If I just click on it, it just takes me over. But I have this back and forward just like you have in your browser if I want to quickly go back to the original note that this came from. And then, like Dennis pointed out, I can write my notes, right? A lot of times with any kind of project management app, what we're missing is the ability to write notes in a proper context, right? So, of course, with Evernote, it's all about the notes. So, to me, between this and the ability to add tags to make things easy to reference, and this kind of stuff, this to me makes for a great project management use of Evernote. And also very much CRM-like. I have a whole notebook in Evernote called Contacts, where I have all my contacts, and they're also tagged contacts. So, to me, it's just Evernote, because it's not designed specifically to be a project management app. It has all this flexibility, which to me is what gives it the power and what gives me the opportunity to set it up in a way that I can use it to manage a project. Because let me switch over now to my School of Bookkeeping notebook, because that's where I can really show you a very good example of how I use it when I'm developing a course. So I have a notebook stack here called Courses. And let's say I go to Course 5. And you see what I have? Now I have a note for every single lesson in the course. You know, very well titled, so that when I sort it by title, I can see I have Course 5, Section 6, Lesson 1, Section 7, Lesson 1. I started using this for this purpose, as you can see, about halfway into the course. So I create the notes, and look what I have. I have the Word document, which has the write-up for that lesson. When the lesson's been completed, I haven't done this here yet, but I can certainly put the hyperlink that takes me directly to where that lesson is on the web. Right now, somebody was asking me on Facebook about this yesterday. How do I hyperlink something without having a long, ugly URL in there? So let's do this. Hyperlink this. Right, so I just write the text out. I'll make it nice and big, too. Okay, and then let me go over to schoolofbookkeeping.com. Why not? So just an easy way always to grab the URL and know that you've got the right one is to actually go to the website and just copy and paste it from your browser. So I'll copy that. And then while I've got the text highlighted here, right-click, hyperlink, add, and drop it in. Okay. That's how easy it is to make a hyperlink in Evernote. So that if I want to hyperlink out to places on the web that have to do with my project or whatever it is I'm keeping notes on, excuse me, very easy to do. Now, if I don't care about the long, ugly hyperlink, I can certainly, let me shrink this window up a bit. I can certainly click in here, and the little favicon, which on ours is generic, I can click and drag, and boom, and it grabs the metadata from the page, of course, when I drop the link in that way. But that's another way to quickly and easily get a hyperlink to a page on a note in Evernote. I mean, it's just so easy to do this stuff. And to me, it's like when you use Evernote for this kind of purpose, it's like whatever you can imagine, you can create. Right? I can embed photos. Let me see if I have... so here's Hub Pages, which is a sort of a long-form blog that I post on every now and then.
Seth, can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
I got a premium subscription to Evernote, and I've started designing everything and really starting to use it more and more. But now I'm considering making it a business Evernote so I can share with my employees.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how that once you... Can it keep my personal... I'm sure it can keep my personal separate from my business, but...
Yeah, when you create the business one,
yeah.
Your notebooks will be broken up into two major areas. You'll have your personal notebooks and your business notebooks.
And then I can drag and drop whatever I want to be in the business?
If you move something from personal over to business, you'll get a warning that you're going to lose like the note revision history and a few other things, but basically everything's still intact.
Huh. Because right now it really is all business.
Yeah, that's I started out using Evernote before they had the business option. Mm-hmm. And I went to business, and to be honest, it was so clunky in terms of moving things over from personal to business that I never really used the business one. I just stuck with using personal. Now, I don't love, and that's why I mentioned with Dennis that it was funny that he brought up the collaboration and the idea of needing a project management solution for a one-person show. I think Evernote's great for that. I think when it comes to collaboration, I don't love how Evernote works, because you know what you're going to have, Sarah? You're going to have conflict issues. If you and an employee are editing the same note at the same time, you're going to get a new notebook created that says conflicting changes.
Oh,
and so you'll have to go through that and decide, well, you'll get both sides of the changes, so you'll be able to combine them. At least that problem is better solved than in other collaborative software. But when it comes to collaboration, I don't love something that has a desktop sync type environment like this does. I would much rather work in something like Active Collab, where it lives in the cloud, and there's really no chance of a conflict there.
So I have to figure out what the big deal is with the business. $10 a user a month. I don't know.
Yeah, or Smartsheet. I mean, to me, Smartsheet's your solution there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they all serve a different purpose, but if I'm doing research or, you know, until I get a wiki, I've been collecting information on different topics and accounting best practices and all that, and getting all, you know, collecting all this information. And
so you know what I love for that is if you go to Active Collab, you can create a project called ABC Research, and then it has its own notebooks area, and you can create all the notebooks you want. So that's a perfect use case to me for Active Collab.
Oh, yeah.
Do you use a web clipper for when you do your research, Sarah?
I use Snagit. Snagit is the other app I would marry next to Evernote.
I bought Snagit, but you use it for Evernote?
I know. I use Snagit to take screen grabs. Evernote lets you take screen grabs, but you don't have nearly the flexibility that you do with Snagit. For example, Evernote, if I take a screen grab, I click and drag. Once I let go, I'm stuck with what it's given me. Whereas Snagit, if I take a screen grab, after I let go of the mouse, it lets me resize the dimensions before I sort of finalize that screen grab. So I don't have to worry if I've had too much coffee and my finger is shaking and I click or let go too soon.
I downloaded I installed a couple of Chrome, what do they call these things?
Extensions?
Extensions. One's Clearly. That's been really cool. If I'm on a website and it's just got all kinds of garbage around the edge, I hit Clearly and I just get the article, and then I can click on my Evernote extension and clip it. I'm not real happy with the iPad ones, but later category.
I'm creating a new project in Active Collab called Sarah's Next Project. We're going to go to the project, and you can categorize your projects. This is like my sort of sample Active Collab that I use. But then once I'm in here, I go to Notebooks, and look, this is kind of fun. So I can say New Notebooks, and I can call it January. Let's say for some reason that's how I want my information organized, is based on what I was doing in January. I do this with clients, and I have like working session notes for every time I work on that client. So I have a project category called Client Projects. And then within that, I have a project for each of the clients I'm doing this for. And then I have a notebook for each month. And then within that, I have session notes every time I work on that client, especially if I go on site where I keep detailed notes about what I did. And that helps me when I go to do my billing later. But watch this. This is kind of cool. So let's add the notebook for January. And then I do this a lot. To me, it's important to keep these things fun and interesting. So I'm going to do a Google search for January. We're going to get an image search in a minute.
Oh, you're going to give it a cover? Hello, January.
You bet I am.
Hello, January, right.
I'm so visual. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, to me it's important, and it makes it fun and interesting. So here's a good, I love a good snowy ski slope like this. All right, now this is a case where you're allowed to steal the image because you're not using it for commercial purposes. You're just using it for something internal. You're not putting it on your blog or your website. It's very important to note. Do not steal images from Google on your blog. I had a situation last year with a client that they got a nice letter saying basically pay us $7,000 for the licensing rights for this image that you've been using. It was not fun. So we're going to put that on our desktop for a minute. Back over here. Go into the notebook. Options. Update notebook cover. Upload new picture. Right over to my desktop. January. Open. And it's probably a large image file, so it's probably going to take a minute, especially while I'm taxing my bandwidth running the Hangout.
Yeah.
Oh, too large. So okay, perfect. So here's a Snagit tutorial. So let's go over to the desktop. Right. Let's find the image. January. Right click. Open with Snagit Editor.
Oh, Snagit Editor.
It comes with the editor when you buy it.
Ah.
And then we're going to go to Image,
You can
Resize.
Oh, cool.
And then let's just go to 1200 for the width. It maintains the aspect ratio. Save it. That should shrink it down to size. Let's confirm. Now it's 256 KB. That should be more than small enough. We'll upload it again. Doo-doo-doo.
Have you ever seen something that shows you how pixels relate to size, like a cheat sheet?
I leave that to Tinkerbell. Oh wait, that was pixie dust. Sorry. No, I have no idea.
Because like you
pretty?
pick 1200 and something, and then cool.
Well, 1200 I find is a good standard width for the web, and when you're starting at a 4000 pixel width, then that definitely shrinks it down to size. But so anyway, going back to your use case, Sarah, to me this would be a great way to, because then I'd say new page, and you know what's cool about this is I can have page 1, right? And then let's say I have related research, but I want it in a subtext, so I can say new page, file under page 1, and call it subtext, and add page, and boom. So now here's page 1, and see what it does. So you can create a hierarchy with your pages within a notebook. So we're trying to get Active Collab as a course on schoolofbookkeeping.com. We've been talking to them a little bit. So hopefully I'll get to do a course on this, because as you've probably gathered, between this and Smartsheet, my two favorite project management apps, especially for the for the kinds of use cases like you're talking about, Sarah, where you have a team to collaborate with. I love Zoho projects, but for the reasons you guys have pointed out already, sometimes I have a problem getting people to sort of opt into Zoho projects because it does too much. It's very robust. So Zoho projects, I think, is probably great for larger organizations where you have a lot of people and really have a lot of teams and projects and tasks to manage. So Zoho is probably better for those kinds of situations because it does do so much more.
Do you have a course on Evernote in your school of bookkeeping?
Not yet. I've started writing it so many times, and then I get kind of bogged down with, okay, which way do I want to go? There's so much that I can do with it. So what I did do recently, you saw at a glance that I had a thing called Hub Pages here. This is aimed at getting me, like, planning 2015 with Evernote, and somewhere else, when I had sort of a fleeting thought a couple weeks ago, I made kind of a note. I think it's probably in Evernote. Here you go. Here's another great use case for Evernote. Let me switch back over. Where I wanted to do a course on like top 10 business uses for Evernote. So looking at it from that standpoint, here's another use case for Evernote. So I have a tag for blog post ideas. Boom. So as soon as I pull up that tag, these are all the things that I've kind of like, I had a fleeting thought, I woke up in the middle of the night, I thought of something, hey, that would be a great blog post. Boom, I bang it out on Evernote, I tag it blog post ideas, I know where I can go to find it later very easily.
I like that you can get stuff out of your head and just...
That's one of the things I love about Evernote. Yep, exactly. So, and that because I've got the mobile app. You know, so I bang it out on my mobile phone because it's my alarm clock, so it's always right next to me, and then I'm done. And then like you said, it doesn't keep me awake anymore because I know I'm not going to forget about it because I know where to go to remember what I was thinking of. And then once something does become a blog post, so here's 5 people you should follow on Twitter. It was just an idea that I had, you know, to kind of share something and give people some love. So once it becomes an actual blog post, then we go to blog post profiles. So blog post profiles. So here's one I did. 3 tips for getting your QuickBooks information better organized. Here's the URL to where it is on the Nerd Enterprises site. Here's the YouTube video. Here's another version of the YouTube link. Here are some notes I had made, I guess, before I sat down to write it. And here's the Word doc with the original blog post that I wrote. So, and I love having this because then if later on somebody's asking me, oh, where's that blog post you had on such and such? Sure, I can search for it on the blog, but sometimes I find this is a much better, faster way to find something like that.
Just out of curiosity, do you link the brain with Evernote, or have you tried that, or is there any applications for that?
No, not specifically. I mean, with the brain, you can put links. I'm finding that as much as I love the brain, I'm using it less and less. And it's becoming for me one of those apps where I'm starting to move things out of it and into either Evernote or Active Collab or something like that. And the main reason for that is it's another one of those apps that's really cool. I love playing with it, but it's hard to get others to buy in. That's what I've found. Yeah. And so if I'm trying to do anything collaborative, first of all, it becomes cost prohibitive because, quite frankly, for me, it's no big deal to spend $250 a year for an app because I'm going to play with it a lot. But to get somebody else to spend that so that they can collaborate with me, it's always so easy.
Yeah.
So that's but that gives you some ideas, I hope, of how I love to use Evernote for projects. Thoughts, ideas, therapy?
The thing I like about Evernote is the clip hunter, because like when I'm doing my Toastmaster speeches, when I'm researching the topic, I'll create a new notebook and then just start searching the web and then just dumping links into the new notebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can cut and paste and put things in PowerPoint, images, and
Oh, you mean the browser extension, the Evernote Web Clipper?
Yeah, the Web Clipper. Yeah, I use it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. I prefer to use Snagit if I want to just grab an image. But yeah, the Web Clipper is great, especially because it has that option where you can say, just give me the page. Don't give me the, you have some interesting options there with respect to what you're actually grabbing off of that web page.
Yeah,
So you use Snagit, make an image, save the image, then link. I mean, you've got a lot more steps if you have to.
You have a lot more steps, but you have a lot more control that way. That's what I like about it, is because this way I can be very specific with Snagit about what I'm grabbing, and I just create that image and then drop it onto, the Evernote node.
Yeah.
So I save it to my desktop for a minute, and then I drag it over. But I'm a little crazy about this kind of stuff. Like, keep in mind when you're talking to me about this, you're talking to a guy who I prefer to wait with a receipt until I can scan it with an actual scanner as opposed to taking a snapshot of it with my phone, because the quality of the image is so much better.
Well, I find with Snagit,
I'm a little crazy like that, even though it's just a receipt and it's just I went to Taco Bell or something. But I like knowing that I have a really good quality image, so that in a year from now, if I have to show that to an auditor or God knows who, I have a good quality image. I don't know. It just makes me sleep better knowing.
So do you think if I started scanning in like our personal receipts, that my husband would get his own Evernote account and then I would share the notebook with him?
Yeah, you could do that.
Versus making him part of a.
Yeah, you share a notebook with him. I have a notebook called Receipts and Bills.
Yeah.
And so all my scans get dropped into there. But what I do for that stuff, to be honest, my use case, I send that stuff into Shoebox, except the things I need to scan myself because it needs to go into like bill.com right away to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff I scan myself. Everything else goes to Shoebox, and Shoebox has a great Evernote integration. In fact, just recently I went in there and noticed that you can put it on autopilot. So once something goes into Shoebox, automatically, I don't have to go in anymore and actually click to sync it down to Evernote. It does it for me. And I've just established that if it's a receipt it goes into my Receipts and Bills notebook in Evernote. If it's a V card for a contact, because I send in business cards, then it goes into my contacts notebook in Evernote. And if it's something that they put into the quote-unquote other documents area, then that also goes into my Receipts and Bills. So when I send in an envelope to Shoebox, within a couple of days of when they get it and get it online, it's going to show up in my Evernote account, which is beautiful.
So Seth, here's an idea for some new Hangouts, kind of like miscellaneous utilities like Snagit or Shoebox or that kind of thing. One thing I was going to say with Snagit, you can say the image is a PDF file. Like, for example, sometimes clients want proof that I e-filed the return, so I'll just take a Snagit picture of the receipt for the notification from the IRS in my software, and then I'll save it as a PDF and then just send it to them.
So that's a great idea. We do have some interesting things coming up in our Hangout. So starting in February, we have a lot of our app developer friends coming on as guests. In fact, next Friday, the 6th, is going to be Cashew. So Cashew, Casey Bain, I believe, is coming and joining us for Cashew. Then the following week, which is February 13th, we have Karen from Transaction Pro.
Ooh, okay.
To give us a TPI demo.
Excellent.
And then on the 20th, we have Finagraph coming on to demonstrate their application, and they're one of our upcoming courses, actually.
And they're up in my area, up in Bellevue, I think.
Yep. So we have quite a lineup actually coming up as far as the next few Hangouts. We're going to be looking at a lot of these apps that either we're doing courses on or we'd like to do courses on. Transaction Pro, I actually have a course already done for how to import your PayPal transactions into QuickBooks as sales receipts. It's been done for a while. I just haven't had the time to do the final editing on it and get it up. But that's going to be a private course for students only at School of Bookkeeping. Which reminds me, Go ahead.
I sent Eric a link for a contact at Smartsheets, also you too, Gina. Hopefully get them on a Hangout.
Well, Smartsheet we're already doing a course on, so we've got the contacts there.
Oh.
Well, thank you.
Before we go, can I give a shout out to Doug Sleater? He's got a killer cough he can't get rid of, so let's send Doug some love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Get well soon.
Absolutely. And then the last thing I was going to mention, School of Bookkeeping, please tell as many people as you can, is completely free today. We've completely unlocked all the content today. So all somebody has to do is register as a guest, and they have full access all day long.
Wow.
That's a good way to squirrel people.
So tweet that out there, and please tell the whole world about that.
Seth, did you ever watch our Hangout that we did while you were sick?
I did not get a chance to. Should I be afraid? Did you guys make fun of me the whole time?
No, we were very kind. We were very focused that day.
Sarah, where is that posted?
It's on Joanne's channel, so you have to go to Joanne's YouTube.
Joanne's channel or my YouTube channel too, Sarah ASB.
Okay.
How did you get it on yours?
I have a link to hers, I think. I don't know. I was completely lost. I was so glad that she just started this Hangout and took care of it.
Right. All right, cool. Well, Gina, what's going on in your Hangout today? And tell us when and where it is.
Okay, this afternoon, 5:30 Eastern, and we... Pardon?
2:30 Pacific.
And we just talk about whatever we talk about. You get what you get. That came from Sammy, Tina Sammy. That is her philosophy on life, and we love it.
Sometimes we talk about accounting and software, and sometimes we just have a good time.
We're just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. James is with us today. He's been very quiet. Kathy, haven't seen you in a long time. Maybe this is the first time, actually, on an actual Hangout with us. Billy Ann, always a pleasure.
I get to see Kathy.
I know.
I'm going to totally
she's playing shy. She's
You don't need to
muted.
I haven't showered. It's bad.
That's okay.
Neither have I. And I didn't put makeup on.
I want to give a shout out to Katie Peterson, my girl Katie. She was
supposed to be on here. I guess she couldn't get the link and get access. I tried emailing it to her. I tried to send smoke signals.
I think it was all full up. Aren't there already so many people?
We may be all full.
It was all full up and she couldn't get in.
It was all filled. And I didn't, Kathy, just for the record, I didn't shave my legs today either. Just saying.
Well, I told Stacy that you might be able to smell me through the camera, so that's why I turned it.
Well, alrighty then. See, now I don't feel so bad about in Abo. By the way, we have a playlist on Abo, on Spotify called Abo. It's collaborative, so you can go in there, you can follow the list, and you can add songs to it. And we encourage you to do so. I want a big, diverse playlist. But during the week, Hartley posted that he liked a bunch of the songs I added the other night. And I commented saying I was on the can adding songs, and he said too much information, but now I don't feel bad.
No.
We know you, Seth.
Hey, look, I was very productive during that time, you know.
Hey.
Maximize time.
Multitasking.
Yep.
All right then. On that note, we will see you all this afternoon on Gina's Hangout, hopefully.
And if not, have a nice
Bye,
weekend.
everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.